should you still maintain some one-to-one clients if you're transitioning online? So should you still have some offline people that you enjoy working with while you're making the switch? Or is it a better idea to just go exclusively online?
And should it be a goal to go exclusively online? Should you be trying to move fully online? And I think that this conversation came from when we started, because obviously we operate fully online. We don't work in a gym. We assumed that would be what everybody wanted to do. But actually, it is unbelievable how many people have the goal of basically just removing the financial pressures of a face-to-face business with an online program. So you have like the way I always describe it is you have the clients you would work with. If you won the lottery, there's people you would work with for free because you just enjoy working with them. And then there's the people where their name pops up on the calendar on a 10 a.m. on a Monday morning and you're like, oh God. Like they pay late, they always cancel last minute. Sometimes they don't show up at all. Every week it's just like a story about why they overate over the weekend and they aren't following you. You know, that sort of person who like is just there to tick a box in their mind and they don't really want to be there. Removing those clients and retaining just the people you want to work with while increasing your income is actually that's what most PTs we speak to want an online program to do. So is that a good idea? Is it not a good idea? How do you do that?
Yeah,
These are all the questions.
that's a good framing, because it's not for us to tell you what you should want out of how you want your week to look like or who you want to work with. But having an online offer is something that buys you options. And then it's up to you. If you want to work with all your nightmare clients, then you're very welcome to, but you don't need to financially. And that's when it really opens up this cool space where you can say, do you know what? There's 3 of my offline clients that I really love working with, and it keeps my foot on the ground. It helps me to stay sharp with my skills, and they're a pleasure to work with. So I'm going to keep them. I'm going to sack off everybody else, and I'm going to build the online offer. And usually the people that we work with make the majority of their income from their online offer once they've got an established hybrid model working. So the offline stuff is not really done for money. It's not a profit driver. It's just for passion and to get you out of the house. And that sounds, I don't mean to sound glib with that or like I'm like I'm making light of it, because a couple of episodes ago we talked about the mental health impact of being an online coach. And you are just sat at your desk in your house or at a cafe with a laptop every day, and you're not getting many steps in and you're not speaking to many people in person. So that's definitely something that if you know that doing that for months on end would drive you crazy, then you might want to have some element of face-to-face interaction built into your week.
Yeah, and it's more as well that it just can be done. Like it's not, you don't need, I think people think online coaching, I've got to move to Thailand or Bali or go live in Australia and like suddenly live this fully remote nomadic lifestyle. When actually, if you just stop working evenings, for example, or didn't work a weekend anymore and had more of a social setup to your calendar, but continue to work in the fitness industry, for a lot of people, that's actually a massive thing. It's a massive contrast. I think that the problem that we see is in general in the fitness industry is that PT, like the really qualified PTs, often don't stay in the industry as long as they could because they feel either underpaid for what they do because you're constrained by like, well, how many hours can I work or how much can I charge for 1 hour of my time? And they feel burnt out by what the average week looks like for them. Like there's only, you start having a family, you start just getting a bit older and not having the same drive for these things anymore. And suddenly waking up at like 5 a.m. every day, especially when like right now as we record this, like it's freezing in the UK. Like you have to wake up at 5 a.m. and go to a gym in a cold gym and train someone you don't really want to work with just to earn enough income to continue working in the fitness industry. There's only so long you can really do that for, I think, before you think, actually, I'm going to go work in recruitment or I'm going to go set up a restaurant or, I'm going to do something else that doesn't require this like early morning life. So I think that's really where the online stuff, that's like not speaking about the Rolexes, not speaking about the Lamborghinis, not speaking about like having brunch in Dubai with all your mates. Like the side of online PT that's like the really valuable bit is just the flexibility, the options that it can create.
You're buying the option there is the seesaw effect when you're first getting into this. So it's certainly from a safety perspective, it's better. You know, we're always saying don't just burn all your bridges and quit your job before you've actually made any online income. You know, do it gradually. You don't need to be Tony Robbins about it. Like you can just start with filling up your one-to-one rota first. Get your first 5 or 10 one-to-one online clients for 150, £200 a month each. There's £2,000 a month coming in from online. You don't want to keep adding to your one-to-one rota because then it just becomes, you know, linearly time for money. That's the mistake we made years ago and really regretted it. But once you've got that basic income coming in, then you can start to pull back on your offline hours and say, okay, I can safely, like, I've gained a £200 a month online client. I can step back my hours by £200 a month offline. And if you're working in a gym where it's flexible enough to do that, you can gradually start to seesaw it away. Then you're freeing up some time during your week. That allows you to put the Prepping Business method into place and build your recurring group offer of the mid-ticket stuff. The reason that it needs a bit of time is because it's front loaded. You're building systems that then do the automated delivery for you. So the first 8 to 12 weeks of building that is upfront work. Once you've got it in place, you really never have to touch it again. Then you can start pulling the lever on your marketing engine, get clients in the door, get more leads, and then start to scale your income to 4, 5, 6K a month pretty easily.
The main reason we teach the method with like ads, the 14-day sequence, and lots of recurring clients rather than a few kind of, well, I mean, there's lots of reasons, but the sort of the benefits of that is it creates what you probably either have or crave now, which is this like certainty over things or safety. So next month I'm due to do this many PT sessions, so my income should be X, etc. And some people worry that online doesn't have that as much. And certainly if you're trying to run your business by posting on social media and hoping that a post does well, messaging a certain number of people and hoping you get a certain number of calls, and then hoping a certain number of calls converts into a client, otherwise you make no money that month, that it has none of the certainty that probably what you do at the minute does have. And so I think when you are transitioning into online, it's very important to think, if at some point I'm going to like take the structure away from my face-to-face business so that I'm relying financially on the online stuff, yes, it's nice to have a month where I make $8,000 or whatever. But if I'm not confident that that's going to recur, actually that's just moving into this sort of world of anxiety and instability, which isn't fun.
It's another reason why we don't recommend high ticket coaching, because you've got to resell someone onto your 12-week, £3,000-4,000 package every 12 weeks, rather than having a low end recurring thing that just ticks away. So at each point, when it rains, it pours. You know, we've all had times where you're getting no new signups for 2 months in a row, or 5 people cancel in a row in a cluster. And if you've only got 5 clients because they're all whales, then that could be a period of time where you've got no income coming in at all, and then no sales to follow it up. Whereas if you've got 30 or 40 and they're all paying a moderate amount, you could handle 5 cancellations in a row and still be okay. There's also the fact that it's just a lot more of a like, to hit statistical significance with 10 people, and the fragility of 1 or 2 or 3 people cancelling has much more of a material impact on your monthly take-home income. It's not really worth the risk. It's not something that you can then confidently say, right, I'm going to quit the day job because I know what I'm going to be earning in 3 months' time, 4 months' time.
Yeah, or like to look at your schedule and say, right, this week I'm cancelling all my sessions on a Saturday because my online business is at X. You feel great about that in December, but in January or in February, when 3 of your 5 online clients cancel because of the model that you've been using, that again, you panic, you start going backwards. And I think a lot of people live in this like no man's land of online coaching where it's always doing a bit, but never enough to really justify the full leap. And so some of that is, as Yusuf just described, it's having like being hedged in your pricing and how you coach your clients, but also having a system that you can you can scale the input and see an increase in the output. So like I'm posting on Instagram 3 times a day, 5 days a week, and I get a client from that. If you can't double that and get 2 clients, that's not really something you can rely on, because there's clearly an element of randomness there. Again, one of the reasons we teach ads is if you can spend £500 and get 3, 4, 5 clients, and that's consistent, and you spend twice as much, it just reaches twice as many people. You just get twice as many leads. You get twice as many sales. And there are slight variations in that, obviously, over time. It's not this money printing machine. But zoom out over a quarter, over 6 months, over a year, and those relationships do hold. So you need to have some method of influencing, okay, my marketing and sales, like to get a customer, I need to do this, this, and this. And I have all this data to back up that happens repeatedly, so that I can just rely on having these 3 face-to-face clients, because I have some certainty over my online stuff.
So there's the answer, really. Should you still keep some offline one-to-one clients? Basically, if you want to, you're very welcome to. You won't need to financially once you have a mid-ticket recurring model up and running, and it's just down to, is this something that you're doing for your maintenance of your skills, your CPD, and your mental health?
Yeah, I think it's an extremely common goal, as long as the face-to-face stuff doesn't become a crutch. I think the stuff that some of our clients raise with us is like they reach this level where they're paying rent for the gym. So you're paying like £500 a month rent, and your one-to-one clients start to encroach on this fact that like on a monthly basis, you're kind of netting this number that doesn't really make sense. At that point, you might actually be better off either looking for an arrangement that doesn't involve that gym with those clients, or getting rid of it entirely and looking for another way to sort of have an offline. Because if you're netting like £200 a month to do way more hours than that of PT, because you're having to pay £500 of rent to the gym just to operate in it, it ends up not being worth it. So that's the only thing to consider. But if you're not in that position, I think it's a pretty good goal to have. And as I say, it's all about this, like, what does my week look like? So if by launching an online program, you get your evenings back, your weekends back, you still work with the clients you love, and you increase your income, pretty good deal.
Should clarify as well, because there might be some people thinking, well, do you guys still have one-to-one clients? We do have online one-to-one fitness clients that we enjoy working with. We've worked with for years. That, the people that luckily we're in a privileged enough position to choose who we want to work with, and the guys who we are with from a fitness perspective, well, and the people who we work with in general, we really love and enjoy working with. We don't have in-person clients because we just don't like seeing people in real life. We just live out of our laptops.
Yeah, I think we have like the client that always comes to mind, that TJ, who's one of our clients. He runs a business called Rugby Muscle. Every time I see him on social media, I swear he's in a different country.
Yeah.
Like
I'm in the Dominican Republic today on a beach with a drone.
Like he really, really leans into the nomadic thing. I think you and I probably fall somewhere in between. Like I have no issues like just sort of managing my own schedule and being like behind my laptop for a lot of the day, because I feel like it feels productive and I quite enjoy that. Like I think I would see having to go and coach someone in a gym for 3 hours on a Tuesday as a getting in the way of my work.
Yeah. Well, we're just vampires though. I think
Yeah.
The other thing, like I'm sure you had a similar thing from working in accountancy, but after 3 years in hospital during COVID, I really didn't want to see another person. I was just like, I just want to sit at home and do my thing. And that's kind of the opposite of most people, because I guess lockdown forced people into their houses. But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the most enjoyable thing I think about online stuff versus face-to-face stuff of anything is the feeling that you are like creating this thing that exists when you're not there. Whereas, working with someone, anything, whether that's a doctor in a hospital or a person training on a gym floor, like when you go home, that service, that thing ceases.
Hmm.
But you spend the day like producing videos or content, building ads that are running, writing emails, making automations, improving your product and your program. You shut your laptop, like all of that's still happening. It's all still running.
It's
So
the
you're kind of
flywheel.
building. Yeah. And so I think it turns sitting at your laptop into this quite a rewarding experience in many ways.
I think that there's a nail on the head there. I feel like when I open my laptop, I'm doing the digital equivalent of putting bricks on top of each other and building something.
Yeah.
And that's immensely more satisfying for me because it carries its own momentum rather than delivering a time for money service and then off and everything stops.
Yeah.
But that's I'm not saying that's what you should want out of everything in your life. Not everything has to be super optimized. Maybe you're much more extroverted than we are and you enjoy seeing people. Maybe you're not so much of a laptop goblin. Fine, build your life as you see fit.
That's it. Like you have just booked. We haven't spoken about this. Have you booked it yet, America, or no?
Yeah,
you have. So like you get to, at the drop of a hat, you can go and you don't have to think like, oh shit, I need to cancel this session, this client. You have while you and I don't really lean into it very much, we have the flexibility to work from wherever we want, on whatever hours we want, on whatever schedule we want, which again is one of the benefits of being fully online. But it's like that, as you said at the very beginning, it's having the choice. It's like if your online business is generating enough income to allow you to do that, you can. But most people listening, I expect, aren't in that position, which is, I guess, probably the reason why you're listening. In which case, you should get in touch with us and we'll explain how to get to that position. If you send us an email using the subject line Propane Business Podcast to the email admin@propanefitness.com, we will queue jump you, which is a hell of an experience in and of itself.
It's a hell of an experience getting the VIP treatment from Johnny himself.
The red carpet from me myself.